So, I get asked about this occasionally. Alexander Kerfoot. Kerfoot, apparently as a free agent out of the NCAA, he was drafted in the 5th round by the New Jersey Devils in 2012. Couldn't come to a contract agreement with them. Has narrowed his list to 2 or 3 teams. Now, one of those teams, supposedly these guys. The other team, supposedly the New York Rangers. Now, I'm wearing Canucks gear because, for me, if the Canucks could add Kerfoot, who is regarded as someone who could challenge for a spot at a training camp. He's 23 years old. What you see is what you get. He's not going to have a growth spurt now to get to 6'1". He's 5'10". I read he's 5'10", 172. So, I mean, that could be an issue. But for a Canuck team that's deep in a rebuild, Kerfoot could be a good addition. Could push some guys in the bottom 6, make them work a little harder to make the team. And for the Rangers, if they play him at center, it could help to solve part of the Rangers' problem up front. See, the Rangers have needed a top 2 center the whole offseason. We're now deep enough into the offseason that I can feel pretty confident in saying the Rangers haven't found a solution to that center spot problem. And there isn't a whole lot that they can do right now. But if they add Kerfoot, and if he's NHL ready, it does help to alleviate some of that problem. There's going to be an expectation on some guys, I think, this year in New York to produce at a level that I don't know that they can. They're going to have to produce by committee. They can't afford to have more than one guy have an off year, and that includes injury. If the Rangers, let's say Chris Kreider and JT Miller, Kreider has a bad year offensively and Miller gets hurt, all bets are off for the Rangers. There's a lot to like with the Rangers in terms of their movement in the offseason, but there's those warning signs. You know, Lundqvist's .910 save percentage last year, and just the fact that they haven't got anybody at center right now in terms of that depth. Like, there's been talk about maybe Miller gets moved to center, and that's not ideal. It's not ideal. If that's what happens, it could be a long year for the Rangers. I predicted the Rangers for the playoffs. Kerfoot would not affect my prediction one way or the other, but it would give the New York Rangers some comfort in knowing that they have an NHL-ready guy in the system. So let's say that they sign him and he ends up playing in the American League. Somebody gets hurt, he comes in and he plays. If he makes the team out of training camp, you get what you get. And it is much like the Jimmy Vesey situation last summer. Vesey came in. Was he overblown? Yeah, probably. People probably expected more out of Vesey than he was going to produce. But he's NHL ready, and he didn't hurt them. And I think Kerfoot could be another situation like that. I don't expect him to produce 20 goals a year. I don't expect him to be this fantastic offensive force in the NHL. But useful NHL player. I don't have a problem with either team picking him up. As I said, it would be that added depth for the Rangers, and for Vancouver, it could be that kind of under-the-radar signing, much like when Tanev came in for Vancouver. And there have been some very good free agents that have come into Vancouver through NCAA. So, you know, if Benning can sign Kerfoot, I have a lot of faith in Benning in terms of signing free agents. Probably more so than I have in him in making trades. And he has made some decent trades and some what-the-hell trades. But in terms of signing free agents, and I mean NCAA free agents, don't bring up Louis Eriksson because that just still makes my brain explode. And I don't want to see my brain exploding all over these walls. But Kerfoot could be a very good addition. His size is going to probably be the reason why he's down to 2 or 3 teams. Because, you know, when you've got center depth, there's a perception that those centers should be big and tall and gruff. And there's still teams in the league that view the center position that way. That you should be 6'4", 220, that big, you know, Herkin center. Especially if, in this case, Kerfoot's not being rated as a guy who's going to be a number 1 center. So if he's going to be a depth center, being smaller would hurt him. I think a guy like, and the example that I think of is Andrew Ebbett. Ebbett was a good player. Ebbett had a lot of heart. And I always liked Ebbett's game, but he was small. And he got knocked off the puck. And it definitely affected his staying power in the NHL. I'm not saying Kerfoot is the same as Ebbett. I'm just saying, when you've got a smallish center, that's the kind of thing that can happen. Especially if he's not your number 1 or number 2 guy. So let me know what you think. And if you got another team that you think he's going to sign with, let me know in the comment section below. It's one of those fun things to look at and say, all right, where's he going to go? Another topic I want to touch on in this video, because I'm not necessarily feeling doing a whole video just on that one move, is Francois Beauchemin going back to the Ducks. Francois Beauchemin with the Ducks, I expect him to be the number 7 defenseman. I expect him to rotate in or out with probably Bieksa. Bieksa's the more physical. Beauchemin's the guy who can help them a little bit offensively. He's not the player he was 5 years ago, or especially 10 years ago, but Beauchemin's a good addition for Anaheim. And I would expect him to play 1 year, and then after that year, move into a coaching or training job with the Ducks. You guys can let me know what you think about that one as well. I think it's a good signing. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine. I think the Ducks have put themselves in a very good position to have a very good season. And I think part of what's going to help motivate the Ducks is the fact all anybody's talking about the Pacific Division is the Oilers, which has to be somewhat frustrating for the Ducks since the Ducks beat the Oilers. And we can talk about why or how, and I understand that's going to draw a lot of ire in the comment section. They won that series, and they're going to look at people picking Oilers, Oilers, Oilers all over the place and say, we beat them before, we can beat them again. So that'll be kind of the thought process, I believe, for the Ducks. But we'll see what happens when the season starts. Let me know what you guys think. Again, hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.